Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Eddie, you said you weren't going to do any more Picard reviews. Well, technically I said I don't think I'm going to do any more reviews. But clearly I was wrong. Because here I am. I'm just a glutton for punishment. What do you want me to tell you? I thought I was done. But after watching this shit, there's just some things I feel like I gotta say.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
So let's get to it. And you may notice that some of my videos have been called rebukes instead of reviews. And that's because I want that to be an indicator that I don't really have anything good to say. So when it says rebuke, that means I'm just going to be shitting on it. If it says review, that means I'm going to have at least some positives. But this is a rebuke. The episode starts with Jurati exploring the abandoned chateau of the Picard mansion. So I guess I have my answer as to where they crashed. They cloak the ship and they leave it, which, yeah, that will hide the ship, but it's not going to hide it. The half-mile trail they left behind it. I just don't know how they haven't been discovered. You're telling me that a spaceship from the future crashed on Earth in France and nobody saw it in 2024? Nobody picked up on this? And they were worried about being discovered in the 80s when they went to get the whales in Star Trek 4. And this is 2024. I don't know. Maybe they will be discovered. I don't know. And they check out the chateau, and Picard has some more flashbacks of his mother. And I get that they're trying to tell a story here, but I don't know why these flashbacks are happening now. He has lived in this vineyard for maybe decades at this point. So I guess I just don't know why it's suddenly causing him PTSD memories, you know? That's part of the reason why I think they just shoehorned this in. It doesn't feel natural. And I don't know. I just don't know why it's suddenly part of his character. But I'm interested to see where it goes. Interested and also kind of terrified, if I'm being honest. Anyway, the whole reason they went into the chateau is because Jurati needs to get warm. She's cold after mind fucking with the Borg Queen. And that's the best they could come up with, I guess. She needs to get warm. All right. And they start putting together the pieces, and they realize that the cataclysmic time-altering event happens in the next few days. So they better get this shit together. And I'm not going to talk about absolutely everything in this. I'm just going to talk about the bullet points. But this next scene is the scene that basically everyone's talking about. Some people are even calling it an Easter egg, which, I mean, I guess it is. If, you know, it's kind of like an Easter egg. If the Easter Bunny took an egg and rammed it down your throat and then punched you in the jaw, I guess that's this kind of Easter egg. I mean, it just hits you over the head. It's the same punk guy from Star Trek 4 in the same exact situation. He's listening to a battery-powered boombox radio in 2024. It's just ridiculous. And Seven tells him to stop the noise, just like Kirk does. And instead of giving the finger, he agrees and he apologizes. So apparently, this motherfucker has had just as much character growth as half the regulars on this goddamn show. I mean, it's incredible. Also, I don't know how the fuck Seven and Raffi are riding the bus with no money. That was the whole thing in Star Trek 4. There was a whole scene. Spock and Kirk couldn't get on the bus initially because they had no money. So I guess we're skipping over things like that. And as a result, the characters don't feel out of place. There's not really any fish out of water elements in this show. They fit right in with this time period. The clothes even look relatively normal. And Seven even drives a car like she's Dominic Toretto, which, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be possible. Raffi says, you can fly a starship, but you can't drive a car, which is pretty fucking stupid. Because that's basically like saying you can drive a car, but you can't ride a horse. There's no correlation whatsoever. That's why Kirk couldn't drive for shit in a piece of the action. And, eliminating the unfamiliarities with the past, it just really detracts from the story, in my opinion. It just makes it bland. It's just like Star Trek 4 if Star Trek 4 was not fun. And then there's a scene where Picard goes to meet Guinan in this time period, and not only is she physically unrecognizable, but every other aspect of her character is unrecognizable too. This just does not seem like Guinan at all. And I know that this is a more cynical era, so it stands to reason that Guinan could be a little bit more cynical too. But it's a bit too far. I mean, she points a gun at Picard just because he knows who she is and where she's from. I mean, why? She didn't flip out on Data in Time's Arrow when he knew who she was. She didn't threaten him or attack him, so why is she doing this to Picard? Even later, she says that Picard harassed her. I mean, what? All he did was go into the bar and say that he needs her help and that he knows her. And she's just, she says she's leaving Earth because, like I said, she's become cynical and she just had it with all the shit. And I can't really blame somebody for feeling that way. Sometimes I'd like to get the fuck off this planet too. But I think it's very strange for Guinan to feel that way. Because she's been on Earth for centuries. She's seen it all. The absolute worst of humanity. She's seen slavery, genocide, the rise of the Third Reich, the KKK at its height, the height of racism, sexism, all kinds of shit, all kinds of intolerance. And I'm not suggesting that all of those things are gone now, but from her perspective, she has seen humanity grow firsthand. And as bad as things are right now, and I assume they will still be pretty bad in 2024, I just think tomorrow will always be the best day in the history of humankind. And maybe that's an oversimplification. Maybe that's just naive. But I just believe that growth is happening every day. And it's just not happening at a rate we would like. And Picard even says as much, so granted. But Guinan knows that 2024 is not the worst year for humanity. Not by a long shot. She's seen the development firsthand. And maybe this is just the straw that broke the camel's back situation, but even still, I just don't think someone as long-lived as Guinan would suddenly lose patience with humanity. Not at this point in history, anyway. I just don't buy it. And the actress is doing a great job. She really is. I like her a lot. And I understand why they, had to replace Whoopi Goldberg, because it wouldn't fit. But I don't know what to tell you. I just don't see Guinan here at all. She says she listens, just like El-Orians do, but she doesn't really. Like, she's not really listening to Picard. Guinan would listen and hear him out and have some thoughts on it. But basically, Picard has to convince her to kind of stick around and help him. And find the mysterious watcher that everyone keeps talking about. And, first of all, I have no idea why her bar is called 10 Forward in 2024. In the present, it makes sense because it's obviously a reference to her time on the Enterprise. But that hasn't happened yet in 2024. And you might say, well, it's because their species has some sort of temporal awareness of some kind. Okay, well, if that's true, why doesn't she recognize Picard? Why is she cynical about humanity when she should have some knowledge of where they end up? Why isn't she aware of things being different in this timeline? Obviously, she didn't meet Picard in Time's Arrow, or maybe she did. I have no fucking clue, honestly. It's confusing. And this isn't just the normal confusion that comes with every time travel story. It's confusing because it's written like dog shit. It's convoluted. And I think it sucks. I don't know what to tell you. It's almost like the more confusing they make it, they're hoping the less questions we'll have to ask. It's like when you write in a paper in school and you're using a lot of big words, but you're not really saying anything. That's what this is like. They're trying to fill out dialogue. And I find it so fucking inane. And basically the rest of the episode consists of Seven and Raffi trying to rescue Rios, and Jurati fighting off temptation from the Borg Queen because apparently there's something appealing about being a Borg. And it ends with Picard going to meet the Watcher. Overall, not a good episode. It's just the same shit. Very cynical. I don't know how Star Trek got so cynical. This episode is sending a message, and I don't disagree with it at all. But it's doing so in such a unhopeful way that it's just so cynical to me. And I think Star Trek always was able to deliver messages but still offer some hope. And I just don't see it here. And there's a lot of setup in this episode. And like I said in a previous video, that's the easy part. They're laying the groundwork, kind of. And it's just hard to believe that it will all come together because they don't seem to care about the shit making sense. They're being vague and mysterious. So I guess we'll see if they can actually make it work and stick the landing. I have doubts. But I guess we'll see. And also, my God, the references in this episode to past Star Trek, the Easter eggs, if you want to call it that, there's so many of them. It's fucking obnoxious. It's like they're trying to say, hey, look at this. You like this shit, don't you? Like jangling the keys in front of you. Ooh, it's shiny. You like these references, right? It's fucking obnoxious fan service. And I can't stand it after a certain point. And it's like, this is almost like they feel like if they distract you enough with that shit, you'll start to believe that they actually give a shit about Star Trek. And I just don't believe that. Sorry, I know I'm ranting and raving like a lunatic, but it just makes me want to pull my hair out. It's just fucking, it's annoying. And I'm kind of, we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. It's sort of a morbid curiosity at this point, just to see how far they'll take this shit. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you like this one? Are you hopeful about where it's going? Am I crazy when it comes to Guinan or anything else I said here? Let me know. Anyway, until next time, take it easy.